Hey, welcome. Big day, FOMC day trading. Let's get prepared. So, we are extremely bearish on weekly on pretty much any index. Most of the shares are down. We had a very small rebound. Let's have a look. Daily, we just had a little bit of rebound here. Major supports have been broken. So I have a really bearish look. I think this pop pre-FOMC will be the one before break. Obviously, we may pop back up, but ultimately, I think we will be looking down. Short on SQQQ, SPXS, basically leverage inverse ETFs for more long-term swing position because I can see through quite a bit of drawdown. It's only 3x leverage comparing to futures. It's hundreds, depending on your margin requirements, but can be from 100, 400x. So absolutely. I'm totally looking towards short. Maybe we get popped on initial release. I don't think there will be any surprise. But we'll see how the comment will go, how the press conference will go. But I definitely would prefer a short. But if there is a long, I'll take a long. We are extremely short term on futures, basically scalping them, not holding through for any prolonged amount of time. And usually when it's a long trade, usually it's a bad one or break even because when it comes back, it's best usually to take break even, otherwise it's going to reverse and stop you out, which happened to me with one of eval account today when it run up second time, and I was fully expecting. We just didn't calculate that it's going to run so much through this high, and I got my liquidation somewhere here, and then it of course it crashed. I could have taken break even here. It was right on my point two times, but after it dropped like that, I was fully sure it's going to continue, but it never happened. I sat through this push, but then they did this. So, but it's okay. I knew what I was doing, so as usual, just pay the price. But let's see what we can do. We had otherwise a decent day, $1,300 already on. It's also another Val account, but after we get a release and press conference, we may trade some live accounts too. But I never trade live accounts on FMC release itself. Well, on release, I don't. I try not to trade on press conference. It's way more difficult because it depends on kind of questions, not on answer really, but more on questions. Kind of questions reporters ask. So 10 minutes to go. Looking towards the shorts, and I think we have pretty wide range today. So I would say short would be below 700, long will be about 900. It's really tough. We're sitting right in the middle at 810, so it's not going to be easy. And I don't really expect large movement on initial release, and it's all going to depend on press conference. It can be a big move potentially. And let's go. Type some. Yeah, we have also financial juice. Feed us some information, so we'll stay up to date. Mm-hmm. Okay, 3 minutes to go. How Bitcoin is doing? Let's have a look. K84, we recovered somewhat. Pushed back up from daily view up, from pivot points. Okay. Get back to NQ. Kind of, oh, it's the other one. Okay. All right, spread begins to widen. 1 minute to go. Let's have a look for seconds. So, first move down, back to entry. Oh, pushing up. Anything from juice? Let's see. I'm looking to fade it. Either 900 or around 940. Or if we start normally moving down. Big spread, pretty big. Okay, 900 is coming. Very small move for FOMC. But obviously everything is expected. So everything is gonna depend on press conference. What kind of comments Powell gonna give? Okay, I don't think we have momentum anymore. Under 20 points. Whipsaw. Okay. Hey, it stopped right on 900. 98.75. Why Juice is not talking? I don't understand.
Voice news disconnected.
Let's see if it goes. Delta actually sold off hard on this move down. Probably gonna retest 900. Hard to say. Level 2 is extremely sparse. Very, very small amount of contracts. Really low density. Let's see. There's a short. Looks like it's selling off. Probably is gonna stop. I don't think they're gonna take out lows. I think it will settle around this spaghetti of view up. We shall see. Okay. Certainty around economic outlook is increased. Sharply reduce growth projection. Yeah, I guess it will all depend on this conference. But I don't feel like it's good. There is nothing good about it. I'll probably reiterate they're not in a rush to cut rates, maybe push a little bit further, and it could trigger stock sell off, maybe after a while a little bit, but we'll see. How we doing? On interactive? Oh, we're actually in plus. We are long SQQQ and SPXS. Not too much, but there's 3x leverage, so if stocks move sharply down, we're gonna have a nice win. Couple grand. Okay. Still chopping, as expected. Well, I guess we'll have to wait for a press. I don't think we're gonna move anywhere. Okay, I'll be back in 10 minutes, perhaps. And we will look to trade press conference. Okay, I'm back. Cool. We about to have press conference started. So just a couple of minutes left. Right. 1 minute to go. What's wrong with my financial juice?
Powell says the economy is strong.
All right. Cool.
Labor market conditions are solid. Inflation remains somewhat elevated.
His statement, by the way, is prepared and distributed before he speaks, so there is zero surprise in there.
Powell
The
said
juice
Fed made
comes
technical decision
at
to slow
Q&A.
pace of decline in balance sheet. Powell says recent indications point to moderation in consumer spending. Also looking at the NYMEX closes here. So NYMEX diesel April futures settle at around $2.23 a gallon. Gasoline April futures settle at around $2.16 a gallon. WTI NYMEX WTI crude April futures settle at $67.16 a barrel, up 26 cents or 0.39%. Fed Powell says that it remains to be seen how uncertainty will affect the outlook. So again, a survey shows a heightened uncertainty. Powell says in the labor market, conditions remain solid, and unemployment rate is in a narrow range for last year. Also, looking at the natural gas April futures settling at about $4.24. Powell saying labor market conditions broadly in balance, and the labor market is not a source of inflationary pressures.
It's took off high. Okay.
Powell says PC prices likely rose 2.5% in December. Seeing US stocks extend gains, S&P 500 up about 1%.
Should we try to go
Powell
long
says core
here?
PC prices probably rose
I think we will
2.8%,
go to.
and inflation remains somewhat
I think we will
elevated
go
versus 2%
to
goal.
pivot points. Okay, we're in.
Powell says inflation expectations have recently moved up with tariffs as the driving factor. And Powell says surveys suggest tariffs are driving inflation
Now
expectations.
he's talking about
Again,
tariffs.
inflation expectations have
It's
recently
not
moved up with
news, though.
tariffs as a driving factor. Powell saying long-term inflation expectations are consistent with the 2% goal.
Come on. Of course.
Powell says new administration is implementing significant policy changes, and net effect is what will
Why you
matter.
haven't been saying it before, Paul? You start with good stuff, now you're talking about bad stuff,
Powell
but
says uncertainty around
either
policy
it
changes
is
and
old
economic
news.
effect is high. And I'm
Jesus
focused on
Christ.
separating signal from noise.
Let's see if it still wants to push higher.
Powell says we do not need to be in a hurry.
I still think we're kind of pumping. Pumps the rumor,
Again,
sells
Powell
the
saying that we
news.
do not need to be in a hurry. We're well positioned to wait for better
We just
clarity.
hoped we're gonna get to 7.7.
Powell says uncertainty is unusually elevated and policy is not on a preset course. The US stocks extend gains further as Powell begins speaking. S&P 500 last up about 0.98%. Powell says if the economy remains strong, we can maintain policy restraint for longer. If the labor market weakens, we can ease if needed.
Now he starts trying to dump the stock. In Powell. It's interesting how everything is known upfront, but the bots still react. I guess they use speech recognition. I don't understand what's the reason, but I'll never pass on a good opportunity to pump and dump.
Powell says that we have seen some signs of increased tightness in money markets. And market indicators suggest quantity of reserves is abundant.
Just flagging.
Powell says in framework review work, today focused on labor market dynamics and maximum employment goal.
Can we take it out? Yet so far. Just a zebra pattern. Red, white, red, white, red, white. Pump it. Just pump it to the pivot point, man.
So just some commentary out of some analysts from Credit Agricole in regards to the rate statement. Powell just saying it will be difficult to know how much inflation is from tariffs. So
Oh,
again,
come
saying
on.
Powell
Now
is
he's
it will
fucking
be
dumping
difficult
the
to know how
market.
much inflation from tariffs. So adding it will be difficult to assess inflation impact of tariffs.
Like
Because
nobody
inflation
knows
moved
it.
up, trying to track that back to tariffs
Jesus
increases is
Christ. Why
challenging.
were we pumping then? Oh my
Powell saying
god.
clearly tariffs are a part of it. So from Credit Agricole, they said the updated Fed statement giving off stagflation vibes with growth projections revised lower, while inflation forecast bumped up somewhat. The dollar is off to a tad, mainly based because of the statement and summary of economic projections come across as gloomier than the Fed's recent rhetoric. Powell says it's too soon to say if it will be appropriate to look through effect of tariff inflation.
Powell.
Powell says a good part of marked up inflation coming from US tariffs. So again, good
Okay.
part of
All
marked
right.
up
We
inflation
lost it.
coming from tariffs.
Now it's gonna pump, of course. Of course, it's pumping now. That's what I hate about
Powell
this
says it
shit.
will depend on tariff inflation moving through quickly and on inflation
It doesn't have
expectations
team.
declining.
It's not either good or bad. He's just spaghetting
Powell says sometimes it's
good
appropriate
points
to
and
look
bad
past
points,
transitory
and
inflation.
it pumps, dumps, pumps, dumps. It's terrible.
Powell
He
says base
started like a
case
very
is
upbeat,
that
but
there is no policy signal from tariffs, but we can't know that.
I do think it's gonna sell off really hard. But like it was pumping, so I thought, oh, okay,
Powell says
probably
also
it's gonna
there is
go for pivot.
inertia in changing
No, no
forecasts
such
amid
luck.
high uncertainty.
No such luck. Jumpage. I think we're going down now. It's like we're
Going up.
breaking into old range.
Powell says base case is that inflation will be transitory.
Okay, we're below this point of control of this hour. Let's see
Powell
if we
adding
can
longer
continue
term
down.
inflation expectations are mostly well
Move
anchored.
up is really compromised now.
And I don't see much increase in long term expected inflation.
Motherfuckers. Sort me out. Now pumping up. What assholes? I was sure it's gonna break, and it's probably will. It's just stopping by a
Powell
couple
said
of
we will be
ticks.
watching inflation expectations very, very carefully. Also added that long term break evens are flat or slightly down.
Hmm. Wait.
Powell says, I see pretty solid hard economic data. Powell says inflation has started to move up partly in response to tariffs, and that there may be a delay in further inflation progress this year. Goods inflation moved up,
Sorry,
trying
taking
to
a
track
call.
that back to tariff increases is challenging. Powell says survey data shows significant rise in uncertainty and downward risks. Powell says we'll be watching very carefully for signs of weakness in real data. Policy is in a good place. Powell just reiterating that the right thing to do is to wait for greater clarity. Spot gold extends gains, hits record high of $3,048.42 an ounce after Powell comments. Brent crude futures settle at $70.78 a barrel, up 22 cents or 0.31%. Powell says, on balance, people wrote down similar forecasts to last time. And Powell saying it's hard to know how this will work out. So again, just saying relationship between survey data and actual economic data hasn't been very tight. Powell says cost of waiting given solid economy are still low. So again, costs of waiting given solid economy are still low. Powell saying lower growth and high inflation balance each other out. US money market funds assets down $27.09 billion for the week ended March 18th, according to iMoneyNet. Powell says hiring rate and layoffs are both low. A meaningful increase in layoffs would probably translate quickly into unemployment. Powell saying overall labor market is in balance. Powell says layoffs here are meaningful to people involved, but not at a national level. Powell says, watching carefully for signs of weakness in hard data. Powell says strong goods inflation readings in recent 2 months, if persistent, must be to do with tariffs. It's just making the rounds here on the newswise that there's a major update on Trump's upcoming crypto strategy. No clarity as to what that could be. We'll find out about it and relay that to you as soon as we can. But just being thrown around otherwise, no details added to it though. Powell says not right to tighten if inflation goes away on its own. Powell says if an inflationary impulse will go away on its own, it's not the right thing to tighten policy. Powell saying it's a different situation and time now from prior episodes. Powell says there can be situations where the Fed's goals are in tension. Powell says if the Fed's goals need to be balanced against these challenging, and that's not the current situation. So US stocks extend gains, Dow Jones up about 1%. Powell says forecasters have raised their possibility of a recession somewhat, but it's not high. Powell says Michigan inflation expectations reading is an outlier. Powell added that UMich reading on high inflation expectations was an outlier, but we do take a notice. So just in regards to rumors flying around with potential major update on Trump's upcoming crypto strategy, get no source as to where this news is coming from. Still trying to find it. Just seeing some further moves towards the upside on Bitcoin here. So all major indexes up more than 1%. S&P 500 last up about 1.3%. Nasdaq up at around by around 1.7%, and Dow up by about 1.1%. Powell says, I think we'll get clarity on outlook, but it's hard to say when. It's hard to say when we'll have a forecast that we can trust. And decisions and clarity will come in the coming months and over the course of the year, and we will adapt policy as we go. Powell says we will know in a couple of months if higher goods inflation in the first 2 months of the year was from tariffs. Powell says that we're looking for direct evidence that particular pieces of inflation are caused or not caused by tariffs. Powell says housing services inflation has been behaving well and moving down in a good way. So just some extra piece of research or views from Deutsche Bank post the Fed rate decision. They expect support for the dollar from reciprocal tariffs to fade as impacted economies respond with fiscal easing and US growth slows. Powell says, broadly speaking, forecasts point to weaker growth, higher inflation, which call for different responses and cancel each other out. Powell says sentiment has fallen off, but the economy seems to be healthy. Powell says drop in sentiment is partly to do with big changes by administration on policy. Powell says that some of flattening in Fed projections for core inflation this year is from tariffs. Powell says flows in and out of TGA got us thinking about balance sheet reductions. Powell saying flows in and out of the Treasury General account got us thinking about balance sheet reductions. And this was a good time to slow balance sheet shrinkage. Powell adding that if cut pace of balance sheet runoff means we'll make reductions more slowly but for longer. And I still think reserves are abundant. It's hard to see underlying signal with TGA going down. TGA is emptying, so reserves are higher, so you can't see underlying signal. So you stocks extend gains, Nasdaq up about 2.04%. Powell says decision to slow balance sheet reduction is not sending a signal. Powell says we said we will stop balance sheet shrinkage somewhat above the level that is ample. Powell saying we are still far from that. We'll approach that level more slowly. Nasdaq 100 extending gains to about 2%. Powell says tariffs tend to bring growth down and inflation up. Powell says, I'm not dismissing rise in short-term inflation expectations, but there's no story of an increasing long-term expectations. Powell says there's no inflation story to tell 5 years and out. Powell says no plan to taper MBS runoff. Powell says we may or may not stop MBS runoff. Adding we haven't made any decisions. And we strongly desire MBS to roll off our balance sheet. And we said that we will stop balance sheet shrinkage somewhat above level that is ample. Powell says that we'd look carefully at allowing MBS to roll off, even after even after stopping shrinking total balance sheet. Powell says we are at a place where we can cut or hold at what is clearly a restrictive stance of policy. Powell asked if a Fed might cut rates in May, says we are not going to be in any hurry to move on rate cuts. It's also seeing US stocks extend gains further, Nasdaq last up more than 2%. Powell says removing risk language from statement was not a signal. Powell says removing roughly imbalance to describe risks from statement isn't meant to convey a signal. And policymakers widely raised their estimates of the risks to Fed goals. Powell says Fed watches for material changes to financial conditions that are persistent. And that we want to focus on the hard data. Powell says if the soft data affects the hard data, we will know very quickly, but we don't see that yet. Powell says underlying inflation before tariffs was basically 2.5%. Powell adds that I do not see a reason to think that we are looking at a replay of the 70s. Powell says inflation is still running in the twos with a pickup from tariffs. Powell says Fed staff has a placeholder forecast on effects of tariffs. And Fed staff forecast assume full tariff retaliation. Powell on balance sheet says that we are looking at pausing and at slowing. Powell says pretty strong support for balance sheet decision. That concludes the press conference with Fed's Powell then.